Well, we made it. We're now on day 4 of our Epilog accordion card, and we're doing the final put together today. And we have made our accordion panels yesterday, so they should be dry enough now to do some of the final touches that we need to do. And of course, we're going to add the base materials to start, and of course, we're going to put it all together so that we have a gorgeous hanging accordion card all ready for Valentine's Day, of course. And then we want to thread a really nice ribbon inside of it, and there are a couple of ways we can do that. Now, I don't like messing around going into little spaces a lot, so I kind of do things out of order sometimes. But if you follow what I do, it's a lot simpler. So, and the last part and piece of this, of course, is to take a photo of what you have and post it inside the Facebook group, because I really want to see what you've done. All right, let's head over to our demo table and start putting the last pieces together. So there's the 4 pieces that we put together yesterday. They turned out really nice. They're nice and dry, and we are going to start assembling all of this. And we have our 3 base pieces, our primary color, our secondary color, and of course our pattern piece, and we can decide which way we want that to go. Let me just move those up a bit. We also have our 2 circle pieces that we're going to glue together, and of course the other part is our brace that's going to hold everything up at the top, just as you see here in our example. So I'm just going to push these to the side for now because I want to work on everything that you see right here. First thing I want to do is get these glued together so that they form a nice cross and they're really straight. And I usually do that by just lining it up on my desk. And then I'm going to add the glue around the outside pieces just here, because that's all I care about right there. Now when I line the hole up, I want to make sure it is straight on my mat. And that makes it a lot easier when I use the mat. Make sure that's nice and straight. Oops. Let me just pull this. I'm just going to push this up so I can see if it's straight here, and it's not quite straight. When it's straight against those lines. There we go. And the reason I want it straight is when we're going to pull something up and down, we want to make sure that it's absolutely straight. Now, the next 2 pieces, it really won't matter how straight they are, but I'm just going to put a little glue around the outside edge here. I'm going to match that hole up, making this nice and thick. And the reason we want it nice and thick is because when you pull the ribbon through, now I could put the gentle one on the outside or a brighter one. I think I'm going with a brighter one. Once again, I just want to add some glue, especially around that hole, and make sure it lines up as best as possible. Perfect. So that's one part of what we need to do here. Now, I like to string the ribbon in a long time ahead of time, and the reason I like to do that is that I'm not fussing on the inside of the card when it is time to do. So I have a little container here with all kinds of little ribbons that I have, and I can decide on the color that I want to use. Now, I could use a paper thread, I could use my silver, I have a blue, a green, a gold, and another gold. And I'm thinking I'm still going to come back to the silver like I've used on my other examples. Let me just move my supply out of the way here. Now I want it to hang fairly tall. Let's see, maybe hang about this much. So I'm going to need a knot at the bottom. So I'm just going to make it a little bit longer. I can always cut the bottom off. And I'm going to make this, and I'm just going to measure it against here. Make it about 7.5, 14, 15 inches of the ribbon should be plenty. Just grab my through here, put the ribbon away. Now the biggest trick here is you want to be able to, of course, thread this through the hole, and that's an important part of it, is getting it through the hole. And I made it have a 1/4 inch hole here, so it's usually pretty easy to push through with the fingers. There we go. So it looks pretty good. So let me just turn this over, because we want to have a little bit of a knot here, but we're going to have to glue the knot into place. So let's start by just, I'm going to pull this back through here a bit just so I have a lot of room to work with. I'm going to start with just a gentle knot like this, and I'm going to do another one the same. It's almost like tying a shoelace, but get that piece through on the other side. Let me just pull this down a bit. Just want to be able to get that piece through. I gotta find it. It's flippy. Okay, so let me just push it through. There it is. Okay, so I've got that at the bottom. And I want to pull this up as much as possible. Now, this is not going to be enough to stop it from going through the hole, but it is enough that we can then take our glue, and you'll notice I have a couple of little tails here. I am going to glue those tails onto the back of our brace. And that is going to hold our knot in place. Now, if we do this ahead of time, then working on the braces is going to be a lot easier. You know, to really ensure it's going to be in there, you can add a little glue around the edges to make sure it stays in there, but this shouldn't be necessary with the glue on the edges. Let me just get a little bit extra under here. Just want to make sure it's going to stay in there. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside because we have some other gluing we need to do. Now, the next part of all of this is to take our bottom pieces, and of course, we have to line them up in the center. Now, in order to do that, I generally grab a ruler. Now, you notice this is 2 inches, and I want to glue this at the 1 inch mark. So I'm going to right up to where it, of course, folds. I want this little 1 inch mark. And that is so I can line that up. Now, our paper, we've done 6 inches here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So right at the 3 inch mark. Now this is going to be buried underneath. So I'm going to do this all the way around, 3 inch mark. And this just makes lining things up a little easier. And this last one here. Okay, 3 inch mark. Now I notice I didn't pull it all the way down, so let me just draw it all the way down. We can always erase what we don't use. Because I have my 1 inch mark right here, what I want to do when I'm gluing is line those 2 dots up when I glue it into place, and I'll show you how to do that. So just grab our glue here, and I'm going to take this down. I'm going to line those 2 dots up. I'm going to make sure it's pretty straight. Okay, there's our first one into place. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to have to bring over my next piece here, but I need to, right at the top, I need to find that 1 inch spot. Just so we can line it up. You can always erase these later if you need to. Okay, that one's in place. Now, let's make this one in place. And it just takes any guesswork out of what you're doing. Don't worry if you get extra glue anywhere. We have a lot of things to do before these are finally in place. So we've got 2 ready to go now. It looks pretty straight coming across. I'm getting a little crowded on my desk here. Okay, let me just move some things out of the way. All right, once again, we have this mark. Let me just bring it down. There we go. I'm going to then measure again right at the fold. With that 1-inch mark. Add our glue. Line those up, make sure it's nice and straight. Last one, same thing. We need our 1-inch mark. Okay, I guess I better draw my line straight through down. Just line up. Sure it's straight. Ah, perfect. Okay, so we have the first part all ready to go here. Now before we tie everything together, we have to put in our secondary piece. And this is going to be a lining to cover up just what we have been doing. And you just need a little bit of glue around the edges. Don't need a lot. A little bit more in the middle. All right, now we're going to take this. Can be a little more accurate than this, but as long as it lines up and it looks square, that one looks perfect. And then of course the same with our pattern piece here. Glue around the outside edges. All right, once again, make sure we get it pretty centered. Now that is looking really good. We have a lot of stuff all put together, but we don't have all of our little pieces joined together, and that's going to be our next little job. Just pull these in, make sure everything works the way we want, and it does. Now, here is where our little extra piece comes in. We are going to glue these parts to the inside of these. So let me just move 2 of these out of the center. What we want to do is, of course, place them inside. I want to get it as centered as possible. Go down just like that. That looks really good. Now I'm going to hold this down while I'm going to do the gluing, because all I'm doing is shoving it inside here, and I'm looking to see how centered that is, and it's just a little bit off. There we go. All right, now the glue is going to apply on the inside here, just like this. Now we're going to fold the part over that has the letter. I'm going to hold it down into place and then glue the other piece into place. Don't want it too far out. Right about there. Just bring that piece down. All right, we have 2 of our parts in place. Now it's time to do the other two. Fold those down just like that. Same for this one. I'm going to fold it in place like this, and you can see why I put the ribbon in first. Makes it so much easier. All right, just open the flap. I'm going to push that down. And of course the last piece here, hold that down. I'm just going to hold it down for a second or two because that is the last part that we want to put together, and I want to be very diligent here and get the cap on my glue. Get the extra off. There we go. Okay, so there is our card. And it comes up the beautiful love. Look at this. Isn't that incredible? So I hope you had a lot of fun making this. This has been our Epilog project. And of course we're going to do a lot of other trainings. And we're going to go from scratch and measuring things and doing all kinds of things. But what you need to do is become a member of the Creative Crafters Club. And that is hub.creativecraftersclub.com, and I will see you in the next training.